Hey everyone, today's preview video is on Reviving Kathmandu. So if you're new to the channel, this is 2 Sheep, 1 Wheat. My name is Krissy. If you're into board games, like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you're ultra into board games, we have added members to the channel where we learn all of these new board games before we make any type of content on them. And a big thank you to all of the members who have already joined. So like I said, Reviving Kathmandu, this is a preview video. It is going out on Kickstarter on February 20th. I will have all of the information linked down below. So a bit about the game. This is the second game in the 𝒙𝒏𝒨𝗏 series from Lemery Games. The first one was 𝒙𝒨𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍. I have covered that one on the channel as well. This game is for 2 to 6 players. It is a bidding, set collecting kind of game, and it doesn't really take that long to play. It's about 20 to 40 minutes depending on how many players you play with. So the game that I'm showing right now, this is a deluxe version for the game. Now, this is just a review copy, so some things may change, and the campaign will have a standard edition available as well. And as well as a standard edition, there will be expansions too. So this game is based off of real life events, and it's sort of to raise awareness for it as well. The campaign is actually going to be donating $1 for a post-earthquake school rebuild in Nepal. So anyways, that is the information on the Kickstarter. Again, I'll have most of that down below along with the Kickstarter link, so make sure to check that out and sign up for it for the Kickstarter February 20th. I will also have a playthrough video, kind of a girls' night that we did with 𝒙𝒨𝒏𝒆𝒍 as well, coming out later on this week. So let's go ahead and take a look at the table, and we're going to look at all of the components that this game comes with. So first, I just wanted to showcase the box. It is a magnetic box, and it is made to look like a briefcase because this is like a traveling type of game. Also, there is room for the playmat in here, same with 𝒙𝒨𝒏𝒆𝒍. That is what they had done. So the box is really nice. So I just wanted to showcase that. It does match with the 𝒙𝒨𝒏𝒆𝒍 one as well. So we do have 2 different types of cards. We have blue cards and red cards. I will show how you use these cards once we get later on in the video on how to play. So those are the 2 types of cards that we have. We have the mat that you can play with, and then we also have the player boards. So the player boards, because this game plays up to 6, there are 6 different player boards, all of them each a different color, kind of this pastel looking color. Along with the player boards, you also have your point markers, so depending on how many points you end up getting, you can use multiple cubes that you may need to play the game. And of course we have our coins, our bidding coins. Again, I'll show how that works throughout the video, but each player is going to get a set in their color that they choose. And again, this is the deluxe copy, so we do have dual layer boards, and we also have this nice metal first player token. And of course, we do have a player aid and how the cards actually work for this game, which does come in handy. So we do have that as well. Once the player boards have set up, you can randomly choose a mission card, which again, I will explain later on in this video. So now that we know all of the components, we kind of went through setup as well. The cards for the blue cards are going to be face down. So the way that this mat works is if you're playing with 2 to 4 players, you'll utilize these 4 squares here. If you're playing with 5 or 6, you will use these 2 extra spots right here. These spots on the mat are where you're going to be placing your bids for whatever card that you would want throughout while you're playing the game. So basically that is how you set it up. We do have these red cards here too, because once you bid on these cards, depending if you get any or not, you would actually draw from here in case you didn't get the either 2 or 4 cards, depending on how many players you're playing with. So that is how you set up your player boards, and that's also how you set up the market. So now while you're playing the game is going to play over 8 rounds, and depending on how many players you're playing with, there is a 2-player variant where instead of only drawing or only betting on 2 cards and collecting 2 cards, you're actually going to do a second bet, and you're going to collect 4 cards into your hand. So the way that betting works, you're kind of keeping track of how many rounds that you're playing with your betting coins. So basically, I'll give an example on how you would bet and what a turn would look like, because the very first thing that we're going to do is bet. So basically, a player, you're going to look at all of your coins and you're going to see which one that you want to bet. Now, I will say this very first, at the end of 4 rounds, you're going to use 4 of your coins to bid. Whatever coin you have left, you can either cash it in to collect a card that is in a discard, and it can be any player's discard that you can go through to collect a card to your hand, or you can cash in whatever coin you have for the point value that is on the coin. So I will say that just right away, just so that everybody understands and you don't leave the number one coin for the end, because obviously a betting game, you want to win the card that you're betting on. So that is how you would want to bet. Everything is going to be placed face down. So you're going to bet off of these cards. So basically what you want to do in this game is you want to build up your monuments. So there are there's three different types of monuments, and then you also have a Buddha. So your pagoda is going to be the tallest building. Now these buildings, you can differentiate any type of building based on the icon that's at the top of the card. These cards, all of them except the Buddha, has two different types on them. Sometimes they're going to be the same, but you can always rotate to use whichever one you want. So the pagoda, you can tell based on what level it is from what is shaded in on the icon at the top left corner. Now this is a base, and there are going to be some that are all through. So the pagodas are going to have 4 sections on them, and you can see this one is a top. Now we also have a stupa. A stupa would have 3 levels, and that would be one of these. So you would need a base, a middle, and then this one right here is the top. And then we have a shrine, which is only 2 levels. This would be a top of a shrine, and then here you can see that this is the base to a shrine. And then of course we have the Buddhas. So there is a point system for all of these monuments that you're going to be building up. So once a monument is completed, you get to collect the top victory point, the topmost victory point. And if you're collecting a Buddha, you would automatically get a victory point right away. So there is something different with the scoring way with these. So depending on how many of the same types of colors that you have, you're going to be gaining extra victory points. So that's just to keep in mind for whenever you are figuring out which card you want to bid on. So if you were to have, I will take out my other player aid right here. So say you have a stupa, or actually let's just go with a shrine because we do have the 2, the top and the bottom here. So I just want to mention this too. Anything that is rainbow like this, that is a wild, and it can be any color you want, but you need to assign a color when you play the card. So now this one is a top shrine, the top to a shrine, and it's white. This is a base to a shrine, and it is rainbow. So rainbow can be any color. Let's say you ended up with those 2 in your hand. You could say that the base is white, and so is the top. So whenever you complete it, you put them together, which I'll show in just a minute. I just want to go over the colors here. Because you would have 2 of the same color, the top of the shrine here is 3 victory points, but because they would essentially be the same color, because we associated this one being a white, you would actually get +2 victory points on that one once it's complete. So instead of a 3 victory point shrine, it would actually be worth 5 victory points. So let's just go and say that this one or this one is the card that we want to bet on. Now for a 2-player game, like I was saying, you have to collect 4 cards instead of 2. So in a 2-player game, you're going to actually bid twice instead of only bidding once if you're playing for a 3 to 6 player game. So I'm going to demonstrate how you're playing for just a regular typical 3 to 6 player game. 2-player game is basically the same thing. You're just doing it twice. So let's say I really wanted this base. I'm going to bid there, and let's say yellow player wanted the Buddha. I guess I have a 2-player game set up, but let's just say that we have another player with us. Everyone has bet, so that is the first thing that everyone does. Then you're going to collect. So you're going to flip over all of the coins that everyone bid. So the way to gain these cards, you're going to start with the highest coin first. And so basically this one would gain this one, but because there's nobody else here bidding for this card, this 3rd player would end up with both of these cards in their hand. If someone else was here bidding, and let's say yellow was there instead, yellow would gain this card and green would gain this card. So, but in this case, green is the one who has won these 2 cards. So now for a 3 to 6 player game, you want 2 cards in your hand. So this player would not collect from the red deck. Now yellow is on this side, So yellow would gain this card, the Buddha, and the red player would gain this card because nobody else is betting around it. Now, I just want to say, if red had bet on the Buddha as well, the higher player is going to gain the card. But let's say red had bid and it was a tie. The player who is on the longest side of the card is going to gain the card. So in this case, yellow would gain the Buddha because it's on the longest side of the card. So this one would go to yellow and this one would go to red. Now, because like I was saying, in a 3 to 6 player game, you need to have 2 cards in your hand. So at this point, if you don't have 2 cards, then you're going to draw from the red deck. So you would draw from the red deck and you would add it to your hand. Now, whenever you have collected your bids and your cards, this is kind of how you're going to keep track of your rounds. You're going to use the coin that you bid and you're going to place it in its spot on your player board. And this just keeps track of which coins that you've used, and it'll keep track of the rounds, because once you have bid and collected your cards 4 times, when you're only left with 1 coin, then that's the time where you can either go through people's discarded cards or you can cash it in for victory points. So now once you have collected your cards, now you're going to try to figure out if you can build anything. So let's go down to the table and I will show you how you can build some of these monuments. So these are the 2 cards that I have in my hand. I do have a base and I do have a top for a shrine. So I'm going to go ahead and use them. I'm going to claim this one as being a red. So now when you're building your buildings, your monuments, you're going to place them underneath your board. Now, I will say at a 2-player game, you're going to build a lot more because you actually have 4 cards in your hand every single time whenever you do the bidding and you're collecting. So you're going to build a lot more monuments playing at a 2-player game than you are at a 3 or 6-player game, because you're only collecting 2 cards at a time. So basically, this is how you would build any type of building. And again, you can tell what the building is based off of the icon and which level it is based off of where it is shaded in or highlighted on the icon at the top left. So you're basically placing them all underneath of your board, and this is how you're going to place them out. So I have completed this and it is worth 3 victory points, but I did claim this base of the shrine a red that matches the top. So because there's 2 colors that are matching, it's a color bonus, I'm going to be able to score 2 extra victory points. So that would be a 5 total. So that would bring my score up to 9. And that's all the cards that I have in my hand. Now let's see. We can't do anything with this one for the yellow player here because this is a middle to a stupa and there's nothing that you can really do with that. But yellow did get a red Buddha card. Your Buddha cards do go on the right hand side of your board. And you also will gain a color bonus based off of this. So as soon as you collect a Buddha and you go into the build phase, you can place it down right away and collect the 1 victory point. Now, depending on what the color is, you'll be able to gain an extra victory point. So this red Buddha would actually be able to score 2 victory points instead of the 1 that is on the top. So that is how a round would go. Then at the end of your turn, you have to discard down to 3 cards, and then you're going to start all over again. So you're going to reset the market, and then you're going to bid again, and you're going to build or collect, and then you're going to build again until you get down, like I said, to your last coin. Then you can go through everybody's discard. You can take one of their cards or your cards that's in the discard, or you can cash it in for victory points for the value of the coin. And then once you have done that, then you're going to recollect all of your coins that were in your player board, and you're going to start all over again. And then when you get down to the last coin again, and then you're going to score up your mission cards. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's say this is the end to the 8th round. You're going to calculate your victory points. So we're going to do the end game scoring. So throughout the game, once you complete a monument, you're going to score the top victory point right away. At the end of the game, whenever you do the end game scoring, anything that you haven't completed is going to be scored now. So say I didn't have this top, there are a lot that are negative points at the bases. So if you don't build up on top of it, you'll actually lose victory points because of these. But in this case, I do have 2, so you would calculate 2 more victory points for this alone. And then you're going to start to calculate your mission cards. So now each monument that is in your mission card can only be counted 1 time, so there's no use continuously building the same building in the same color order to score more victory points. It's just a once and done. So in this case, I would be able to score 1 victory point for either a red or a blue Buddha. In this case, I do, so you would score 1 victory point because of it. And again, once you play these cards down, you would gain the victory point already, including the color bonus as well. So that would be for the Buddha. And then we go on to the shrine. The shrine would be this one here. I don't have a green or white top, so I unfortunately wouldn't be able to gain that victory point, the bonus points of 2. And then we go to the stupa. So the stupa for mine would be the middle and the top layer to be the same color. In this case, I do. So I would be able to gain another 3 victory points. And then we go on to the pagoda. So for the pagoda, in this case, the 2 bottom layers would need to be the same color. These 2 bottom colors are not the same, so I would not be able to gain the 4 extra victory points for the pagodas. So that is basically how you play Reviving Kathmandu. Again, this game really fits into their first game, Chili Mafia. Chili Mafia is, both of their games are family games. Chili Mafia is a little bit more of a energetic type of game. This one is a little bit more on the calmer side. I would say both of them equally as good. This one does include boards, which makes it an actual board game. Chili Mafia is a little bit more of a card game, so there are a little bit difference in the series. I'm looking forward to seeing what the 3rd game in the series, in the '𝒂𝒏𝒨𝗏 series, what is going to be. So that is the preview for the game, basically an overview on how you play the game as well. I don't need to include a review in the game because it's just a preview video, but I did want to mention that I really did enjoy playing this game. I do have the playthrough video coming out soon. We did do a girls' night, so me, Courtney, and Christine, we all got together and did play this game. It's going to take me a long time to edit that video because we had a lot of fun and there was a lot of chatting in the video. So anyways, again, make sure to click that link down in the description below. That'll take you to the Kickstarter, sign up for it, and make sure to check it out on February 20th. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video and I will catch you next time.